Right. Going to the gym, eating clean, sleeping well, and still losing muscle. Every year, if you're not getting the right protein in the right form at the right time, that's where today's breakthrough comes in. A simple food that's richer in leucine than eggs, proven to activate the powerful mTOR pathway for muscle repair and growth. And no, it's not a powder or a trendy supplement's real food. And here's my promise to you. By the end of this episode, you'll walk away with a clear science-backed strategy to preserve your strength, sharpen your mind, and stay independent into, say, your 70s and beyond, using just food, timing, and a few small daily changes. No gimmicks, no guesswork, just one powerful shift that could change how you age from this moment forward. The power of protein timing and casein. If you ask most people to name a high-protein food, they'll say eggs, and rightly so. Eggs are a nearly perfect food, affordable, nutrient-dense, and bioavailable. One large egg contains about 6 grams of high-quality protein rich in essential amino acids. But here's the surprise. Cottage cheese contains more protein per serving, and it's even more effective at supporting overnight muscle maintenance. Let's get specific. A typical 1/2 cup serving of low-fat cottage cheese contains 14 grams of protein, more than 2 eggs, and it's predominantly casein, a slow-digesting protein. This slow absorption matters. What's happening in your body when you sleep is a kind of natural fasting state. Between dinner and breakfast, you're likely going 8 to 10 hours without food. If your body doesn't have a steady stream of amino acids during this time, it may begin to break down muscle tissue to meet its needs, especially if you're over 30 when sarcopenia begins to accelerate. Here's where casein protein becomes powerful because it digests slowly, releasing amino acids into the bloodstream for up to 7 hours. It creates a steady drip of nourishment for your muscles while you sleep. It's like putting your muscles on an IV drip recovery fuel, reducing nighttime catabolism and promoting protein synthesis. Compare this to eggs. While they're rich in nutrients like choline and vitamin D, their protein is absorbed much faster, which is ideal in some cases, like post-workout, but less effective for overnight muscle preservation. A 2012 study published in Medicine and Science in Sports and Exercise found that participants who consumed 40 grams of casein protein before sleep showed significantly greater overnight muscle protein synthesis compared to those who didn't. More recent research from Nutrients 2019 supports this as well, emphasizing that pre-sleep protein intake improves muscle mass and strength gains, especially in older adults. So the food we're talking about, cottage cheese, isn't just a snack. It's a timing tool that, when eaten 30 to 60 minutes before bed, helps shift your body from muscle breakdown mode into repair mode. Pre-sleep muscle protocol: half to 1 cup of low-fat cottage cheese, 14 to 28 g of protein. Optional: add cinnamon, a few walnuts, or a teaspoon of honey for taste and added nutrients. Consume 30 to 60 minutes before sleep, ideally after resistance training or a mini-long active day. You may be wondering, what about lactose intolerance? Great question. Many brands of cottage cheese are now lactose-free, and some alternatives like casein protein isolate offer similar benefits, but the key is slow-digesting, leucine-rich protein that fuels your muscles throughout the night. Muscle preservation isn't just about how much protein you eat, it's about when and what kind. Cottage cheese works not because it's trendy or exotic, but because it aligns with the biological rhythms of digestion and muscle protein turnover. Imagine you had a switch in your body, one that, when flipped on, told your muscles grow, repair, stay strong. That switch exists. It's called mTOR, short for mechanistic target of rapamycin, and it's one of the most powerful regulators of muscle protein synthesis in your body. But here's the catch. mTOR isn't always on. In fact, most of the time, especially as we age, it's either dormant or only mildly activated. That's why simply eating more protein doesn't always preserve muscle. To truly activate mTOR, you need a threshold amount of a specific amino acid, leucine. Leucine is what we call a branched-chain amino acid, BCAA. It plays a critical role in signaling your muscle cells to start the rebuilding process. When you ingest enough leucine, typically around 2.5 to 3 grams per meal, you flip that mTOR switch and trigger a cascade of muscle-building activity. Without leucine, it's like having construction materials but no form to direct the build. So how does this tie back to cottage cheese? Well, cottage cheese is naturally high in leucine, especially compared to many plant-based sources, and even some meats. 1 cup of low-fat cottage cheese contains roughly 2.6 g of leucine, just enough to stimulate muscle protein synthesis in most adults. That makes it a strategic choice, not just for overall protein, but for triggering the muscle growth process in the first place. A study published in the Journal of Nutrition 2006 highlighted that leucine-rich meals increased muscle protein synthesis by up to 25% more than lower leucine meals even when total protein intake was matched. Another 2011 trial in clinical nutrition showed that leucine supplementation improved muscle mass and strength in older adults, even without changes in exercise routine. This means that quality matters more than quantity. A bowl of cottage cheese before bed may do more for your muscle mass than a
larger, but lower, leucine dinner.
Here's a tool you can use right now. Leucine Threshold Protocol. Per meal aim for 2.5 to 3 grams of leucine at each meal. This equals 1 cup of cottage cheese or 5 ounces chicken breast, or 2.5 scoops of most whey protein powders. Spread protein-rich meals evenly across the day, 3 to 4 meals. Maintaining muscle mass isn't just about strength. Studies now shows strong links between muscle and mental resilience through mechanisms like insulin sensitivity, brain design, neurotrophic factor, BDNF, and inflammation control. In fact, low muscle mass is associated with cognitive decline and increased risk of depression in older adults. So when you trigger mTOR and build muscle, you're not just improving how you move, you're optimizing how you think and feel. And one more thing, mTOR activity naturally declines with age. That's why older adults often need more protein and more leucine per meal than younger people just to get the same anabolic response. It's not about eating like you're 25. It's about eating strategically for your age and biology. Muscle isn't just made from protein, it's signaled into existence by the muscle loss happens because of inactivity or aging alone. But the truth is a major driver of sarcopenia, the gradual decline of muscle with age, is poorly timed protein intake. Your body's ability to build and preserve muscle is strongly influenced by your internal clock. This biological timing system, known as your circadian rhythm, governs not just sleep and energy, but also how well your cells respond to nutrients. Muscle protein synthesis, MPS, is not a constant process. It has windows of heightened sensitivity, especially after resistance exercise, early in the day, and while you sleep. But if you skip protein in those windows or consume too little of the right kind, your body may enter a state of net muscle breakdown. Most people eat the majority of their daily protein at dinner and very little at breakfast. A 2020 review in the Journal of Nutrition found that this uneven distribution leads to less total muscle protein synthesis over time compared to spreading protein evenly across 3 to 4 meals per day. Studies have shown that consuming protein right before bed, especially slow digesting proteins like casein, can significantly enhance overnight muscle repair. This is because sleep is a prime time for growth hormone release, tissue regeneration, and memory consolidation. And if your body lacks amino acids during that period, it can't perform these functions optimally. A 2015 study in Frontiers of Nutrition found that pre-sleep protein intake increased overnight MPS by 22% and improved strength gains in older adults over 12 weeks of training. Another study in American Journal of Clinical Nutrition showed that those who consumed 30 to 40 g of casein protein before bed had greater lean mass gains than those who didn't, even when total daily protein intake was the same. Simple tool: 3 times protein distribution protocol. Eat 20 to 40 g of protein at each major meal, breakfast, lunch, dinner, at a pre-sleep protein feeding like 1 cup of cottage cheese or a 30 g casein shake. Time protein-rich meals within 2 hours post-workout and within 1 hour of waking. If you're training in the evening, that bedtime protein becomes even more powerful, aligning with both elevated muscle repair signaling and your natural recovery rhythms during sleep. Balanced protein intake reduces blood sugar spikes, supports dopamine production, and keeps you mentally sharper for longer. This is how we go from random eating to strategic nutrition, from reacting to our hunger to aligning with our biology, because strength isn't just built in the gym. It's built in the kitchen and it's protected during sleep. Muscle is medicine for the brain. That's not a metaphor. It's neuroscience. Skeletal muscle doesn't just help you move through space, it's metabolically active tissue that influences everything from blood sugar regulation to hormone balance and even brain plasticity. When you engage your muscles through resistance training, walking, or even asymmetric tension, your body releases molecules called myosides. These are small signaling proteins released by muscle fibers that travel through the bloodstream and communicate with other organs, including your brain. One of the most powerful myosides is irisin, which is released during physical activity and has been shown in studies to stimulate brain-sad neurotrophic factor, BDNF, a key molecule that supports the growth of new neurons and synapses. BDNF is often called fertilizer for the brain, playing a critical role in learning, memory, and emotional regulation. So when you preserve lean muscle, especially through protein-centered nutrition and movement, you're not just building strength, you're building resilience, clarity, and emotional stability. A study published in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism found that lower muscle mass was significantly associated with higher levels of depressive symptoms in older adults, independent of physical activity. Another study in Neurology 2022 showed that higher midlife muscle mass predicted lower risk of dementia later in life, even after adjusting for cardiovascular and lifestyle factors. Muscle also improves insulin sensitivity, reducing the spikes and crashes in blood glucose that can lead to brain fog, fatigue, and poor mood regulation. Muscle helps reduce chronic low-grade inflammation, often called inflammation, which is a major driver of age, cognitive decline. Resistance training, combined with adequate protein, especially leucine-rich sources like cottage cheese, has been shown to reduce markers of systemic inflammation, such as CRP and IL-6, dual muscle brain circuit. Eat protein-rich meals spaced evenly through the day, including pre-sleep, strength train 2 to 4 times per week, even using body weight or resistance bands, walk 7,000 to 10,000 steps per day to stimulate continual myosin release, prioritize sleep and hydration, which are essential for both muscle recovery and cognitive performance. Not all proteins are created equal, and not just in their amino acid profiles, but in how fast or slow they digest. This matters far more than most people realize, because when it comes to preserving muscle, especially during times of fasting like sleep or long work days, the speed at which amino acids are delivered to your bloodstream can make the eggs spike amino acid levels quickly, making them ideal post-workout when your muscles are primed for rapid repair. Slow digesting proteins like casein, the primary protein in cottage cheese, release amino acids gradually over 6 to 8 hours, providing a steady anabolic effect, which is particularly useful during periods when you're not eating. A landmark study published in American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, 1997, compared casein and whey protein. The findings show that whey protein lead to a rapid but short-loading increase in plasma amino acids, while casein created a moderate but sustained elevation, significantly reducing protein breakdown over several hours. During sleep, your body goes 7 to 10 hours without external fuel. If you're not providing slow amino acids before bed, your body may tap into muscle tissue for energy, especially if your total daily protein or losing intake is suboptimal. The same applies to long days with delayed meals, intermittent fasting, or high stress, which increases cortisol, a muscle-wasting hormone. In all these cases, slow digesting proteins act like a buffer, maintaining muscle protein availability while minimizing breakdown. I just have strategy for muscle maintenance. Use fast digesting proteins, eggs, chicken, after workouts or first thing in the morning. Use cottage cheese or Greek yogurt before bed or during long fasts. For best results, pair slow proteins with a small amount of fat or fiber to further slow absorption and enhanced satiety. If you finish dinner at 7 o'clock p.m. and don't eat again until 9 a.m., that's a 14-hour fast. Even with solid protein intake during the day, your muscles are vulnerable overnight unless you've provided slow digesting amino acids in the evening. That's why something like 1 cup of cottage cheese or a 30g casing shake before bed is such a powerful, science-supported move. By the time we reach our 30s, we begin losing muscle quietly, subtly, at a rate of about 3 to 8% per decade, accelerating after age 60. This process, known as sarcopenia, isn't just about looking older, it's about reduced strength, increased risk of injury, lower metabolic health, and even cognitive decline. But here's the empowering truth. You can reverse this process, not with extreme workouts, not with trendy supplements, but with a precise daily protocol built on biology, not guesswork. The Daily Strength Protocol. Protein timing, 3 to 4 feedings per day, eat 30 to 40 g of protein per meal, spaced across 3 to 4 meals, prioritize complete proteins high in losing eggs, poultry, fish, cottage cheese, Greek yogurt, or whey. Use a slow-digesting protein like 1 cup cottage cheese or 30g casing 30 to 60 minutes before bed. Loosing commuted meals, ensure each meal contains at least 5 to 3 grams of loosing, 5 ounces chicken breast, 1 cup low-fat cottage cheese, 2 thigh scoops. Whey protein, resistance training 3 to 4 times per week, lift weights, do resistance bands or bodyweight exercises, focus on compound movements, train to near fatigue, but prioritize consistency over intensity. Daily movement, walk 7,000 to 10,000 steps per day, or aim for 30 minutes of light movement. Optionally, add short bursts of intensity like stair climbs or hill walks. Sleep optimization, 7 to 9 hours, wind down with low light 60 minutes before bed. Consider magnesium glycinate or breath work if struggling with sleep. On set, prioritize consistent wake and sleep times, avoid muscle saboteurs. Minimize ultra-processed foods, alcohol, and long periods of inactivity. Don't over-rely on cardio if your goal is muscle preservation. Balance is key. Reduce chronic stress. This protocol isn't about perfection, it's about alignment. You don't need to obsess over macros or train like an athlete, but you do need to feed your body the signal and the materials it needs to build and maintain the engine of your independence, your muscle, because muscle is what lifts your body out of a chair. It's what stabilizes your joints, regulates your energy, sharpens your brain, and protects your life as you age. You don't lose muscle because you age, you lose muscle because you stop giving your body a reason and the resources to hold on to it. Now you have the tools to do exactly that. We started this journey with a simple idea. There's a food that has more protein than eggs, and it can help you fight muscle loss fast. But along the way, we uncovered something deeper. We didn't just talk about protein, we talked about preserving your capacity to live, move, and think with strength as you age. Let's briefly recap the science-backed insights. Cottage cheese isn't just a snack, it's a tool. With more protein than eggs and rich in slow-digesting casing, it's uniquely suited to fuel your muscles through the night. Muscle growth isn't random. It's triggered by a leucine activating the mTOR pathway. Without hitting that leucine threshold per meal, your muscle repair machinery stays dormant. Timing is everything. Your body responds best when protein is spaced. If you found this video helpful, make sure to hit that like button. It really helps the channel, and don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss out on future videos. I'd love to hear your thoughts, so drop a comment below and let me know what you think. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.